Hey everybody, it's Big E. Welcome to Big E's Autos. So yeah, I'm down on the ground today. We're gonna try something a little bit different than what you're used to. It's not so much mechanical, but some carpentry work. I asked Eric, what do you mean? Well, we're gonna try building the spoiler for the C4. Now you see here the marker lights and stuff, and here's the ear dam. Here's a piece of plywood here. I saw someone do this, and what's neat is it tests different skill set, allows you to be a little bit more creative. Plus, if done right, it can add some cool styling to your C4, and it also gives you a chance to be creative. So what we'll do, I'm going to get started here. I have my piece of plywood. I'm starting off with a piece of, I'm going to say 3/8 inch plywood. Okay, I think my measurements are 5'4" wide, and I have it coming out 3 feet. That's a little big on the 3 feet, but I wanted to keep the numbers simple because, well, my brain doesn't work well with a lot of other freaking numbers, so try and keep it simple for the old brain here. So what I did was, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace out. So I made this like homemade Sharpie marker zip tied to a paint star. Not real advanced technologically, but hopefully it gets the job done. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow the contour here of the body. So I'm running it along here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously do the other side. I'm going to do the front. I'm going to go trace this all out. And then when I trace it out, we're going to put it on some sawhorses. We're going to look the thing over and we're going to see if there's anything we can do to be more creative, change some lines, tweak it a little bit, because this is just going to be for like your stock body lines. We're going to see if there's anything more creative that we can do to kind of give it its own touch, if you know what I mean. Make it look different. Maybe not. Maybe we'll like what we see. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to trace this out. When I come back, we'll have it all traced out, and hopefully I'll have it setting on some sawhorses. All right, guys. So here's our drawing. Hard to see with the camera. I did make some modifications. I was going to go like an inch lip on the front. I went to 2 inches to make it look more aggressive. I also changed the lines here where it's going to meet up in front of the front tire. Instead of following the body line, I'm going to kick it out a little bit to give it more of an aggressive look. And I also knocked off these edges here at the front. I just don't like 90-degree angles when you're doing something like this. I like to try and streamline it down. I may change this a little bit more yet. In fact, I think I'll do that now. Make this a little bit bigger of a triangle. And then we're going to cut it out. So that's our next step. Our next step is going to be to actually get the jigsaw, and we're going to actually cut this out. So let me go ahead and get this thing plugged in here. Sorry, I'm off camera. And we're going to go ahead and hopefully if I have enough extension cord here, we're going to get started on cutting this out. Turn it up here a little bit. So that's our first cut. It's a little rough, but we're going to be able to sand some of that off. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and drop in here, and we're going to cut the front off, and I'm going to cut the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that all out. We're going to see what lines that we need to, what lines we need to modify or change or sand, or if it's good the way it is, or if we need to even some stuff up. I did find a center line. I did mark that so we can maybe decide if we want to put a point on or not. I'm not 100% sure. But why don't I go ahead and let me cut this thing all the way out, and we'll be back. Alright guys, I'm going to be behind the camera. I just cut this out, so I just want to give an overview of what we have here. The front, obviously, I'm trying to get around here. It's a little tight. I mean, obviously it's rough, but it's going to change a little bit as I sand it. But you see the basic lines. Like I say, we're going to sand it, shellac it, finish it off before we wrap it to make sure the wood is nice and smooth. But I'm going to give it the final shaping with the sander before we do any of that. Alright guys, so kind of jumped the gun here. I was going to show you guys how it was cut out, but instead I lost some of that footage. But this is the finished product right here. This is actually a vinyl wrap of carbon fiber. This is my first attempt, so I apologize. You see the mistakes and the air bubbles. I'm letting it sit in the sun so that way it can kind of stretch out and relax and do what it needs to do to shape itself. And I don't know, you can see a little bit there. Not a bad deal. So I'm just going to do, watch my hand. I'm just going to do an overview of what I did. So what I did was I finished obviously cutting it out of the plywood, and I traced the air dam because I changed where I was going to mount it. So I actually traced, I don't have the card cover up, I apologize guys. I actually traced this piece here that runs along the bottom of the car, along the front. I traced that, so let me put this back on. I traced that to give me this shape here, okay? And then when I did that, I also cleaned up these cutouts here a little bit. There was a lot of knots, and it was terrible wood. I admit, I was being cheap. I should have used better wood than what I did, but I used what I used. I had to make use of it. So what I ended up doing, like, this is the bare wood here. So basically what I did was I sanded it. I put 2 coats of shellac on, so that way the adhesive on the vinyl wrap would have something to grab onto, because if I just put it on plain wood, I was afraid it wouldn't stick. So I put 2 coats of shellac on, and I let that set up for about a day. And then I went ahead and finished shaping it. I beveled the edge with a belt sander. I was using a 50 grit sandpaper on my belt sander, and I beveled the edge all the way around the and even the underside as well, which I have to finish that up as well. But yeah, so that's the wrap. And then after I did that, I just kind of cut it and waited for a really hot day where I was in direct sunlight, so this vinyl is real pliable. And I basically just, I folded it in half, and I peeled the paper back, cut it off, and I just laid this down. They actually give you, they give you a handy dandy squeegee in the kit with a piece of terry cloth on it. You dip down water and you use that to squeegee all your air bubbles out and stuff. And then you do the same thing on the other side with that as well. From what I can understand, you can also, if you're so inclined, once it is cured, you can clear it, go from there to give yourself a high gloss finish if that's what you desire. Or you could just leave it like this if you want like a low gloss. I think I'm going to go ahead and give and clear it and see where it goes from there. But that's where we're at with this. And we're going to see, when I come back, we're going to see, hopefully have some mounting points drilled and a couple other things. Hey everybody, so we're back here. So we got the spoiler off the car. As you see, we got it striped out and masked. But I don't know if you can see where we're sanding it with an 800 grit. Once it cures, it's like any other surface. We're going to sand it, we're going to sand it with an 800. Okay, and then once we do that, we're going to paint these stripes here. And once we do that, we're going to take all this off and we're going to clear it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start laying down some color here on the stripes. Now it's gonna, as usual, I'm having an issue here with my freaking guns and stuff because nothing's cooperating as usual. So we're gonna go ahead and spray that lip. And this stuff almost dries like instantly, so we're going to let that set up. We're probably gonna do a couple more coats, and then we'll see when we get back. All right, guys, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out, the spoiler didn't turn out the way we thought. Apparently I used the wrong clear coat and stuff. As you can see, it is nowhere near carbon fiber. Apparently what happened is we were okay with the red. When I went to clear the carbon fiber, it has the texture, but it kind of melted it into like this universal black. So we were able to get it on the car. Naturally, the mounts I was going to use are lost in the mail, so I kind of fabricated some adjustable mounts I got at the hardware store. And so I did it like that. Also an update, I also got a wing for it, Amazon wing. I just went ahead and mounted it on the car to kind of give it a more aggressive look on it for that. So all in all, I guess it was just what ended up being, we were going to build a front spoiler for it that I kind of liked, you know, and to get some content. Ended up being a whole transformation. So it needs a good detail. It's dirty. I kind of just wiped it off, but I figured I'd give you guys a little walk around of the old Corvette shithawk we used to call it, of what she is now, and a bit different. So in a weekend and a little bit of ingenuity and thinking, you can do custom stuff and build crazy stuff and have stuff, you know, didn't work out the way I thought. I'm not one of those YouTubers where everything works. I mean, luckily it ended up, the mess up ended up looking okay, but it's not what I was envisioning. But hey, it is what it is. At least it's on the car, it matches, it looks like it's painted, and it doesn't look too terrible. And it's somewhat functional. So anyway, until next time, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Please be kind. Watch out for each other. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time right here. Big E's. Bye for now.